At 3:17 a.m., a man in Ohio received an emergency broadcast warning him not to look at the moon. 30 minutes later, his entire family was gone, and all the mirrors in the house were broken from the inside. That's not a movie plot. That's analog horror. Welcome to the dark, buzzing world of cursed VHS tapes, hijacked TV broadcasts, and inhuman things that stare through static. Analog horror doesn't jump out at you. It lingers. And today, we're diving into the 8 most cursed analog horror monsters you should absolutely never watch alone. Seriously, don't say we didn't warn you. He looks like an angel, talks like one too, but if you hear his sermon, you're already too late. The preacher is one of the most unsettling entities in the Mandela catalog, especially in Volume 4. He appears during corrupted religious broadcasts, dressed like a priest, with his face half shrouded in darkness and his voice drenched in distortion. But what makes him truly cursed isn't how he looks, it's what he says. He speaks in twisted scripture, verses from the Bible, but altered, bent into something unholy, something meant to break you, not save you. Viewers report nausea, confusion, and in the story's lore, people go missing shortly after viewing his messages. It's like his voice plants a virus in your brain. Worst part? He tells you exactly what he is. He warns you, even, but it's already too late. That corrupted faith? That's his entry point. Whatever you do, don't follow the light. Buzzu is what you'd get if Chuck E. Cheese had a mental breakdown, got possessed, and came back for revenge on every kid who ever had a birthday party. In the Walton Files, Buzzu is one of the infamous showstoppers, an animatronic entertainer from Bond's Burgers. He's got a flashy outfit, a pocket watch, and a fake smile that hides something deeply wrong. Because Buzzu isn't just malfunctioning, he's haunted. Specifically by the soul of Charles, a man who died under mysterious circumstances and now lives on inside this twitchy metal shell. At first, Buzzu's segments feel harmless, a little circus tune, some goofy dialogue, but the longer you watch, the more things go off. The audio distorts, the video glitches. His gaze lingers just a second too long. Most people think Bond is the scary one, but Buzzu? He's the quiet kind of cursed, the kind that waits. And when that clock hits 0, you're next in the spotlight. Imagine you're on a summer camping trip, birds chirping, campfire crackling, and then the forest goes dead silent. Something's wrong. Something is watching. Meet the Wretch, a disfigured, mutated horror from Gemini Home Entertainment, featured in the Moonlight Acres family camp training video. Sounds wholesome, right? Nah. What starts as a friendly park orientation turns into a glitchy nightmare when the Wretch enters the scene. This creature used to be a bear, yeah. But when the cult behind the deep-root disease tried to offer a human sacrifice to an alien god, the Iris, and gave a bear instead, they got punished. Big time. The bear was transformed into a shambling, multi-limbed abomination, half animal, half twisted biomass, and all wrong. Campers started disappearing, staff went missing. And the Wretch? It just keeps showing up in those fake training tapes, lurking in the trees like a hungry error in the system. The lesson? Don't mess with eldritch gods, and definitely don't trust corporate-sponsored summer camps. But hey, before we descend into the literal guts of the earth, do us a favor. Like the video and subscribe if you want to help a small channel grow faster than a deep-root parasite. You ever look at a cave and think, yeah, I bet something unspeakable lives down there? Welcome to the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, America's favorite eldritch tourist attraction. And say hello to one of its most cursed inhabitants, the abyssal copepod. This thing is a massive, deep tunnel predator with way too many human-like limbs and a face that's basically a meat grinder with eyeballs. It lives in the lower digestive tracts of the flesh pit. And yes, that's as gross as it sounds. Park guests who stray too far off the guided tour paths sometimes just disappear. No blood, no screams, just gone. According to fake, but disturbingly detailed park documents, the copepod is non-aggressive unless stimulated. Translation, if it hears you breathe, you're a snack. What makes it worse is how casually it's mentioned. Like, oh yeah, bring sunscreen, stay hydrated, and avoid the nightmare worm that eats people whole. Just part of the fun at the world's most cursed national park. Seriously, who approved this place? Ever looked at a tree and thought, That thing's breathing weirdly? Yeah, welcome to Nature's Mockery, the parasitic nightmare of Gemini home entertainment. This isn't your usual alien invasion. It's way worse. Nature's Mockery spreads through spores, roots, and infected animals, hijacking ecosystems like a virus with a PhD in body horror. Victims don't just die, they transform, slowly, uncomfortably, until their bones twist, their faces sag, and they become barely human plant-zombie hybrids. The whole thing ties into something called the deep root disease, and by the time you even notice something's wrong, it's already too late. The forest moves wrong. Deer have too many joints. Trees whisper at you. And you'll feel it starting in your lungs. One of the worst parts? The tapes explaining this are presented like educational nature documentaries. Calm narrator, smooth jazz music, while someone's being turned into a walking compost pile in the background. You thought climate change was scary? Try fighting a planet that wants you to grow roots. Sophie Walton isn't your typical analog horror monster, which is exactly what makes her so haunting. In the Walton Files, Sophie is the daughter of Jack and Rosemary Walton, and what starts as her search for answers quickly spirals into a descent through repressed trauma, missing memories, and straight-up demonic possession. Her story is told in fragments, VHS tapes, corrupted footage, drawings. But there's one constant. Something horrible happened to her, and now it's bleeding through the screen. Sophie is either possessed, haunted, or maybe just broken beyond repair. Some fans believe her soul is tied to Bon, the main animatronic, while others think she's become something entirely new, a human glitch, born of grief and forgotten violence. What really messes with you is that she's not evil. She's a victim, and when she smiles in those tapes, that forced, shaky smile, it feels like someone trying really hard not to scream. She's not the monster in this story, but something inside her is. It's just the moon, right? Peaceful, distant, kinda romantic. Yeah, not in Local 58. In this series, the moon isn't just watching, it's calling you. And people are listening. In one of Local 58's most iconic broadcasts, titled Skywatching, viewers are urged not to look at the moon. Why? Because it's broadcasting something, a hypnotic, unseen signal that drives people into a trance. Moments later, emergency alerts say things like, "Remain indoors," and "Do not look at the moon." And just like that, it's too late. People walk outside, staring up with blank expressions, then they vanish. Or worse, their bodies are found twisted in impossible shapes, their faces melted into serenity. The creepiest part? We never see the moon do anything. No monsters, no jump scares, just implication. Pure, cosmic dread. As if the moon's been up there all along, waiting for the right signal to flip us off like a switch. And hey, you looked at the thumbnail for this video, right? Oops. You ever see a children's show that feels wrong? Not just creepy clown wrong, but this was made by something that doesn't understand kids wrong? That's Cadavre, a skeletal puppet star of a long-lost cartoon in Local 58's episode, A Show for Children. At first glance, Cadavre looks like a simple, cheap puppet, all floppy limbs and hollow eyes. He talks in broken English, wanders through cryptic scenarios, and gives advice like, "Lie down forever." Seriously. The show seems made for kids, but the tone is all off. The soundtrack is warped. The backgrounds flicker like old crime scene photos. And Cadavre's messages? They don't comfort, they warn. Viewers debate whether he's a ghost, a demon, or just a tool of whatever cosmic horror is hijacking the broadcast. But here's the kicker. The episode ends with Cadavre lying flat on the floor. The screen goes black. No credits, no sound. It doesn't feel like the show ended. It feels like it's waiting. So, still watching alone? From possessed animatronics to parasitic forests and moon-fueled mind control, analog horror isn't just scary, it's personal. These monsters don't chase you through forests. They crawl into your TV, your head, your memories. They twist something familiar, a kid's show, a nature documentary, a presidential message, and turn it into something wrong. And maybe that's the scariest part. Not what they do on screen, but what sticks with you after. So which one messed you up the most? Buzzu? The moon? Sophie's dead stare? Drop your cursed favorite in the comments. And if you made it this far without unplugging your TV, smash that like and subscribe button. We've got more nightmares coming. You'll want to be ready.